Okay, on the Israeli bond issue, I have, this popped up, it's brand new, and it's hard to know where to start with this. I think I should start by saying that we all have in our hearts the concern about the Palestinian people. And that's what we want to express anytime we talk to somebody. But when it comes down to talking to the legislature, what these people will say to you is, we're obligated to the people who have entrusted us with this responsibility not to look at any other issues other than investment merit. And so when I heard about this, I started writing papers about this, and I ended up having to write 3. And I have them all here. And I'll show them to you.
It's good that they want investment merit. Depends on where the merit is.
Yeah, where's the merit? The main issue is Israel is really I want to say a bankrupt state because it's already been bankrupt. It's been bankrupt twice. Israel is the worst investment on the face of the earth. Israel is a over-invested state with very limited resources. It has less natural resources than Colorado. It's not blessed with much of anything. If God gave it to the Palestinians or the Israelis, he didn't give them much. And secondly, it runs this incredible war establishment that costs a fortune. And these efforts to get people to invest in their bonds are really a terrible investment. And we looked into this. The first thing we found out was that Israel has already defaulted or devalued 2 currencies. It's on its third currency right now. If you would have had a bank account in Israel in 1967 or 1975, by 1986, it would have been wiped out completely because the shekel went down from whatever it was down to 0. And they then exchanged 1,000 of the old shekels for the new shekel. So you got 1 for every 1,000 you had, and people started over in 1986. That's the history of the shekel. So if you'd have had a bond or a bank account in Israel in 1985, you'd have lost it all if it was defined in shekels. Israel then issued the new shekel, and the new shekel went down from where it was 75 US cents to the shekel to where it is today, which is 26 cents. So it's lost, since 1986 when it was issued, it's lost already 59% of its value. That's the credit history of the state of Israel. And they're busy selling bonds in the United States to Americans. And they want our states and local governments and cities and the pension plans of the people that work for the state to buy these bonds. And so the first paper we wrote was entitled Evaluation Risk of the Shekel Bonds. And there it is. And I've got some of these if you want to look at them. And then we discovered that Israel has been selling bonds not defined in shekels, but defined in dollars ever since 1951. So the reason Israel issued the original bonds to people who bought them on street corners and in synagogues, and those bonds were basically issued to pay off dollars. They're called savings bonds. And by 1963, the first batch came due, and Israel managed to pay off $4.6 million worth, no, $24.6 million worth. And they did it by selling another $500 million worth of new ones, and then they used 25 million of the old dollars, the dollars they raised to pay off the old ones. So basically, it's the issue of issuing new bonds to pay off the old bonds. These bonds are, believe it or not, defined in US dollars. So now, where does the state of Israel get the right to print American dollars? Well, obviously, they don't have a right to print dollars. Our government, if it issues you a $1,000 bond, and they don't have the money to pay you, they can print the money and give it to you. Israel cannot print dollars to pay you. They printed shekels to pay off the old bond, but the shekel went to where it was worthless. You see? So what the scheme now is here is the issuance of bonds in America payable in American dollars. And if you look at the prospectus that's in an issue, these have actually been cleared to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission by this prospectus. And if you read in the back of it, it tells you that you have absolutely no right, a legal right, to sue the state of Israel if they don't pay you. In other words, you cannot legally collect from the state of Israel if they don't pay you. Secondly, the bonds issued, these new ones that they're trying to sell now, and have successfully been selling for over 10 years in the United States. So this is the 7th series, and it's $1.4 billion, I believe. And this is not the 7th time they've been through this, and it's unsaleable. It says in there that you cannot transfer it to anyone unless you die, in which case it can be transferred to your parents. So if you buy it, you don't want to get out of it. This is what is being offered now. So now the interesting part of this incredible scheme is that, do you remember when, anybody remember when Bill Clinton was asked about the Monica Lewinsky thing? Why did you do it? And he made a total candid, honest answer. He said, because I could. Because I could. Why is Israel doing this?
Because they can.
Because they can. That is the logic of what they're not doing. And the reason that they will eventually default in these is because they can. You see, they have now two currencies in circulation. They have the shekel, the new shekel, not the old one, that's gone. And they have bonds that are circulating in terms of the new shekel. You can buy those in the Israeli stock exchange. And then they're issuing all of these American bonds in dollars, which are defined in dollars, and they can't print those. Now, if they ever reach the place where they need a lot of money and people stop buying these bonds, tell me how they're going to pay them off. They cannot pay them off.
Who's sponsoring this bill?
Well, there's the bill sponsored by a number of
Morgan Carroll.
by
Morgan Carroll. Morgan Carroll. Oh my God.
But these bills are being put up. These bills are being put up in all the states.
Sorry, who?
What's the controversy about Morgan Carroll?
No, because she's involved with many social justice issues.
Yep, there we go.
Huh?
Yeah, there we go.
And she's sponsoring something totally.
I'm sorry, we're going to have to save this discussion. It's coming up in about 10 minutes because we started a half an hour late and we're just running a little late. But we can talk about this.
I recall in 1990, the Israeli bonds were sponsored 90% guaranteed by the United States.
Could be.
And the proceeds will go to pay Israeli debts to the United States.
Could be. These aren't. It doesn't say in here that these are so popular. They have issued some.
The first one of 90%.
Yeah.
And the proceeds will go to pay Israeli debts to the Israeli.
The bottom line on all of this is that these bills are being put up everywhere, and you need to know this. There are now 25 sales offices in the United States in financial centers. There isn't one in Denver, but there's one in Phoenix, Tempe, Arizona. 25 of these have been set up to sell these things. And this is the financial scheme to keep Israel going.
Under what name?
It's called the Israeli Development Corporation. And you look them up, you'll find them on the internet, and it will give you all the addresses of all their offices all over the country. And so I'll quit now, but we have these papers that we've done here on this, and this is a tremendous opportunity because this is so wrong. Anybody can see it. This is really a good opportunity to attack this on a national level.
And when is the next Colorado hearing where we can
Next-
be at it? and-
Well, it's next Tuesday, they're gonna try to pass this bill that allows the state of Colorado.
1:30 at the state capitol, room 354.
Right.
And go to the Colorado BDS Campaign website, and his articles are online, you can read them, they're very good. And the update on the Colorado Legislature, and Legislature, it's right there.
What were you saying about this Tuesday? What actually are they doing?
Well, this is just a hearing to pass a piece of legislation that lets the state, that would let the state invest in these. But Israel's real target in this is the big long-term pension funds that are managed for state employees. It's called PERA. And when we...
Para, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of you may be in it.
PERA.
Yes, I am on it.
That is the target because they can invest long-term. They have people's pension and profit sharing money. When we put out one of our papers, somehow it got to PERA, and I got a letter from them, and they said they corrected a mistake they said I made, and then they went on to say that no, they have not invested in any of this particular series of bonds that are now being sold, but they do have $500,000 or maybe it was $800,000 worth of the shekel bonds that they bought through the stock exchange, which they say are liquid. And so you see, they're getting their foot in the door with these organizations. Now that organization has $40 billion under management. $40 billion, $9 billion in bonds under management. That's the target that they're aiming for. And if you go to California, the one in California is 10 times that big, or 20 times that big. And these are, cities have these, and so these bond salesmen are focused on those organizations. That's what it's, so we'll have a little workshop later. And
Thank you, Chuck. We have two more people. I'm going to introduce Neil Feldman over here. He's with the DU, Students for Justice in Palestine, and his group is really doing a lot of wonderful things. All the Colorado groups are doing a lot of wonderful things. But he's going to talk about what his group is doing.
So we are DU Students for Justice in Palestine. So like, I guess like I would mention first off that that you wouldn't have to look much further than the composition of the room to see that like coalition building is a very necessary thing. And I would mention that Students for Justice in Palestine, a group that started in the early 2000s within the wake of the growing BDS movement and growing movements to boycott, divestment, and sanction from Israel. But a lot of what we are focused on is the coalition building, and with that, a horizontally run practice that is anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic, and everything that is anti-oppressive. So a lot of what we've been working on is, we just had Remy Kanazi perform at our campus, who is a spoken word performer from whose grandparents and parents were displaced in 1948 from Haifa and Jaffa. He came and shared a lot of wisdom with us about how to wage a BDS campaign. And so he came, and we also, in leading up to that, we had a lot of collaboration with the Native Student Alliance, which is a group on our campus. Because, like, after all, we are both fighting for Indigenous people's rights. We did like a display of villages that were destroyed in the Nakba, as well as nations that had been targeted within ethnic cleansing campaigns that happened in North America. And so we've been sort of developing relationships like that. As far as BDS goes, we're sort of in the initial stages of that, including the kickoff campaign of our organization, since we're pretty young, is a Sabra campaign to get Sabra off of campus, and to get Sodexo, the food service company of DU and many other campuses, to boycott that. So we have a petition that is on top of the Kafita that if you are affiliated with DU, we invite you to read the text and to sign. And we're also trying to sort of build like a lexicon of information as far as where DU is invested. We have sort of inklings that Caterpillar is in the picture, and that there's a lot of other relationships that needed to be severed. So that's our group. Connect with us at some point later. Thanks.
We have one more person, and then we're going to take a 20-minute break. But this is Guy Benintendi. Did I say that right? And he's going to talk about a Palestinian film festival, and also I'm going to put a plug in for him for his Boulder Nablus Sister City project that's about ready to come up for a vote to be a sister city. But he can't be political with that group because that's the rules. But anyway, he's doing good work.
Thank you, Beth. Yeah, so I'm very excited to be making the very first public announcement today about the Boulder Palestine Film Festival, which will, inshallah, be taking place in October in Boulder, from tentative dates from October 11th through October 20th. And I'm going to not only announce this today, but give you an invitation. But first, while I'm doing that, I'm going to pass out some flyers for a film series that we're doing, and I'm going to pass around an email sign-up sheet. So we're going to be putting on this film series in October. Yes,
I wonder if that sign-up sheet can be, instead of I was going to pass one out around too, and it just occurs to me, would people be okay with that sign-up sheet being like one that the different groups use? So you don't have to write your name 10 times?
Anybody opposed to that idea?
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, you guys have it.
If you don't want to meet, you could write something in the margin, I guess, if you Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you bet, Anna. So here's the plan for the film festival. We're going to have between 7 and 9 days of films. Films will be shown at 4 and 7 o'clock. And here's the invitation. So to this Colorado Boycott, Divestment Coalition, I am inviting you to have the closing event. The closing event will take place on I'd like to have everybody's attention. The closing event will take place on a Sunday night, and there'll be a 4 o'clock movie. There'll be a catered dinner in between. There'll be a 7 o'clock movie. Possible suggestions for the movie are 5 Broken Cameras, Roadmap to Apartheid. After the second movie, it could be open to discussion on BDS, mobilizing the audience that's there. One of the things that we've been very good at doing with our film series and other events is bringing people into this coalition that had no inkling about it before. So that's my invitation to you, to sponsor that evening. So just to get a feel for what people think of it, how many people think that's a good idea? Okay, very good. Okay. Any questions?
I am a presenter of the movie Little Town of Bethlehem.
Little loud.
Would that be something that could be shown at this event?
It's not currently scheduled, but it's the films that are going to be shown have not been totally nailed down yet.
All right.
I say you're open, because I know that we're suggestions.
Yeah, well, we'll talk to you later about that. Let me say something else about that. We have a film committee. Sergio is on it, I'm on it, and one other person is on it. If anybody is interested in being a part of this, helping us get the word out, helping us sell tickets, helping us nail down the contract for the venue, et cetera, you know, talk to me. Maybe just put a star by your name on the email list, or talk to me later. Any other questions?
When is it?
Tentatively October 11th through 20th. And the theater, we're negotiating with the Boulder Dairy Center for the Arts The opening and closing events will be at their big theater space, which holds 225 people. So my hope is that this group can sponsor the closing event, and we can fill that theater, watch a couple of movies, have some good Palestinian food in between, and have a discussion about BDS afterwards. Thank you.
Well, we're going to take a break until 3:35, and we're going to eliminate the discussion till later because we're running really late. So 3:35.
Yeah, we're going to do a group picture with a big banner that says occupation is a crime, with a big banner outside. It's this side of the building. If you want to run out, we can do it in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, but that way we can get a nice picture of everybody together. We've got one. All right, and you can see me? Everybody you can see me? All right, smile, hand fist in the air. Looks fantastic. Thank you.
Hamisi is going to have a few minutes of talking. He was a Palestinian refugee in 1948, and he just wants to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, because this is the first time I feel that there are people who are serious about looking at the Palestinian problem. I was here 16 years ago. I lived in Denver 18 years, and at that time I was busy in trying to make an interfaith dialogue, which we had for about 6 years. And then we had Seeking Common Ground, and then we had the Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee, which I was active with. And I left to Lebanon for 16 years. When I came back, most of the people who were active in the dialogue, in the interfaith dialogue, in Seeking Common Grounds, have moved, became very, they became very silent. They don't want to have any activity or to be identified with Palestinian causes or with anything that has to be something that has to do with peace. At that time, we were talking about two-state solution, about Palestinians and Israelis, that we can really have dialogue, we can have interaction, and unfortunately, that has ended up with zero. This is why I'm so pleased today, that this is the first time I see civil rights activists who are serious about reaching a solution and presenting the Palestinian case to the American people as well as to the American government. And I believe this is a legal problem, this is an international code, and this has to do much more with the American people, that they should not get into wars or events that are not in their interest. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Ford would like to say a few words.
The bill that's coming up on Tuesday in the Senate Finance Committee is our first chance to kill it. If it gets approved in the Finance Committee, then it goes on to the entire Senate. And I have to have 3 readings, so there'll be more chances. But if we can kill it in the Finance Committee, if it can't get out of the Finance Committee, it's dead. So that's why it's important to get there. But if it does pass that, we're not done. We have more chances, both in the Senate and in the House. There has to be 3 readings of it in each of those 2 houses if it gets outside the Finance Committee. But if you can show up, or if you can't show up, please contact members of the Finance Committee. The information has been put out by Sabeel.
It's on the website.
It's on the website, okay.
Yeah.
Good, that's right.
Okay, so, thank you.
Who's sponsoring it?
Morgan, Carol, and who?
Many.
Who?
I don't remember the name.
There's a lot.
It's a bipartisan thing that's got strong members of both the Democratic and Republican parties. Or directly with And you mentioned the room number and the time again for that Tuesday meeting? The room number is 354. The time of the session is 1:30. If you want to be there to testify, to get on, you probably should get there around 1 o'clock and sign up, because there's a sign-up list.
You have to, actually. They have a time limit, and you have to get there 30 minutes early and have signed up by 1 o'clock when you want to talk.
Okay, so be there before 1 o'clock then. And you can, depending on the number of people that speak, you can have anywhere from like maybe 3 to 5 minutes. If there's a lot of people, maybe 2 minutes.
You have a number with Bill?
It's SB 13176. It's the bill to allow the treasurer to invest in Israeli governmental debt obligations.
And send it to your email list and also Facebook to invite everybody to do this, or also call Finance Committee with the numbers ready, because if you don't have numbers ready for people to call, they're not going to do it. And also, be sure to remember who is sponsoring it, so you can put that sponsorship there.